Welcome to the Emotional Abuse Recovery Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to help you heal after a toxic or narcissistic relationship. This podcast teaches you to use your subconscious mind to go from feeling stuck to set free. In here, you will learn how to use the power of your own mind to free yourself from emotional pain, move forward with confidence, and experience the inner peace you deserve in your healing journey after emotional abuse. I'm your host and subconscious reprogramming coach, Allison Dagny. So let's get started. Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming back to listen to another episode of the Emotional Abuse Recovery Podcast. Today I have a really special guest that I can't wait for you to meet. Her name is Kim, and Kim is one of my former clients, and I wanted to bring her on so that she could share a little bit about her story, where she was to where she is now, and what's going on in her life, so that you guys can get some hope and inspiration from somebody like her who's been through what you've been through and who has been doing this work to up-level her life and doing all these wonderful things to improve herself. So Kim, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for this chat. So if you would just kind of tell us a little bit about you and a little bit of a history about how you came to be where you are right now.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really nice to be here. So basically, about 8 months ago, I was on my healing journey from leaving an abusive relationship, and I was just feeling really stuck at the time. I had been in talk therapy for about 9 months, and as much as that was helpful to me, I just felt like I was no longer progressing in my journey. And so I actually had come across your Instagram page, and I started somehow, I'm not even sure, but I started following you. And I was very intrigued by not only your content, but just some of the testimonials that were on there from previous clients you had worked with. And it just really, it attracted me to the type of work that you do because like I mentioned, I was just feeling really stuck, and I knew that I needed something different other than what I was doing. And so I was really, I guess I was just searching for something just different and something that maybe I hadn't done before. Like I was willing to try anything. And I think I was just really impressed by your client testimonials and the work that you had done. And I think that just like speaks volumes of your work as a coach, and it got me really interested. And so, yeah, you and I just started, conversing back and forth and kind of building a bit of a relationship or connection. And I just really felt like I could trust you as a person because of just the results that I had seen other people were having. So.
Good. Well, thank you. And I'm really I'm honored to be your coach. Like, you are such a A+ student. Like, I mean, you're not really my student, but like you are
I don't
like,
know about that.
I just loved working with you so much because you really had such an awareness of what was going on inside of you. And, that probably has a lot to do with, the amount of therapy that you went through as well, because, when you start being really introspective and trying to like connect the dots and stuff like that, you start to see differently and you start to think a little bit differently. And then by the time that you came to me, I was like, oh my gosh, like she's already like so aware, which is really helpful when you're doing this kind of work. So how do you feel, as far as like when you started doing this, right? You started doing this work, you've done the rapid reprogramming and all of that. What do you find, like, what do you feel like was the most challenging aspect of doing that? Because I mean, to me, it seemed like it was very easy for you, like to do it. So what did you find to be challenging?
About the program or like the
Yeah.
rapid
Yeah.
reprogramming?
Yeah.
I think the most challenging thing would probably just be like getting really clear on what beliefs I was believing, like sorting out my thoughts and my beliefs and becoming aware of how I was feeling and connecting it back to what I was believing. And then just developing a discipline of um, doing active releases, like either daily or weekly, like as much as possible, I would encourage, because the more work you put in, the more you're going to get out in your results. So I found it, I, I don't know if I found it challenging. It was challenging, but in a good way. Like it was exactly what I was looking for.
Okay.
And I think as I was gaining results and feeling more and more free from emotional pain, um, I think that just like that spurred me on. Like that gave me encouragement
Yeah.
to keep going. So it was challenging, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like
I
it was a
love
good
that.
way.
Yeah, I love that. And I would describe it the exact same way because it's like almost like when you're like working out and you get sore and you're like, ooh, like it feels good. Like it's good
Yeah.
sore. Like it's not like you hate being sore. It's like you know it's working. And I think that's probably how I would describe it. Probably a lot of people would think about it the same way. And it's like a good feeling because yes, it's a challenge to get up, get yourself out of bed and to get your clothes on and go to the gym and lift weights or run the treadmill or whatever. But like the
Mhm.
next day, you're like, oh, yeah, okay, this is a good kind of sore. And I feel like
Yeah.
it's similar because then you know that it's changing you. So, can
Hmm.
you give us a little bit of background? Like, you're a mom, you had an emotionally abusive relationship. What was the thing that when you say you're feeling stuck, because I want to go back to that,
Hmm.
what do you think was like the most challenging part of that for you that was hard to break through? When, like, I don't know, like a lot of people think of stuck in different ways. So what was it for you?
Um, so I was just feeling like, um, talking to someone about my problems almost felt like ruminating. If
Mhm.
anyone doesn't know what that means, it means like just basically like kind of like rehearsing your thoughts over and over and over. And you just get you feel tired of the same thinking the same thoughts, and almost like it becomes an obsession. Like say you're dwelling on a past relationship, or I think I felt like a bit like I was in victim mentality and mode a lot, which just leaves you feeling really hurt because you feel like, there were things done to you that were unfair. There's like some injustice, and it's just easy to stay in that place. And I didn't like feeling that way. And I remember also feeling a lot of fear and a lot of anger, which I was able to release like almost immediately, probably within the first month or two. And I felt like that was, and also a lot of guilt. So all three of those emotions. And as I was able to release them, I just felt so much more free.
Mhm.
And I felt like it makes me emotional, but I just felt like it really transformed even some of the relationships in my life, including the one I have with my ex, which is, can be kind of shocking to
Yeah.
people, but I mean, that's a positive thing, I feel like. And also even like the relationship I have with my children, right? Like I'm not parenting out of fear or out of guilt. I'm just able to, release beliefs that were making me either feel guilty or making me feel like I should be doing something a certain way because of like previous programming that, or how I was parented or whatever. So being able to release that just allowed me to become the parent that I actually want to be. And that feels a lot more aligned with like, um, I guess just like how I want to parent or how I want to live. And I'll also mention, I have found that this methodology has even helped just like remove other toxic relationships, including friendships from my life, which, could have been extremely painful, but I actually found them quite easy to let go of because of the work that I was putting in and because of just the education I received. And yeah,
Yeah.
just in the simplicity of being able to release beliefs, it was it really blew my mind, and how I was able to either deal with things or walk away from things without, like I mentioned, ruminating forever and ever and ever and being like, well, why isn't it this way? Or how come they're behaving that way? Or, why is that friend not being a good friend? Does that mean I'm not a good friend? And being able to really just even remove those thoughts, right? Like by thinking about, like, well, what else could be possible, right? Like you would always
Yeah.
say that to me. Or yeah, so there's different questions that I've now kind of developed, or questions that are on repeat sometimes in my head, where I will now challenge when I notice I'm feeling a negative way, or I'm sad, or I'm not feeling how I want to feel. I'll just like simply ask myself a question like, well, what else could be right? Like, and it's just really powerful, because then I can just start being open to believing new beliefs and new thoughts. And like, it's just as easy as being able to kind of take that thought captive, right? And just not reverse it, but change it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I
Hmm.
love that. And, you know, what you said was so important, I think, for people to know and like for us to focus on is that when you remove the emotion out of some of these things, you can show up differently, right? Like if you're not parenting out of guilt, you're going to be in your child's best interest, right? Like the parent
Hmm.
who's parenting out of guilt will give their child everything the child wants, right?
Hmm.
That's not necessarily in the best interest of the child, right? So
Right.
we remove emotions, and like you said, with a toxic friend, right? When you
Hmm.
remove the emotion, you can show up as somebody who is able to set boundaries, is who
Right.
doesn't let people walk all over them, right? So, and you've experienced some of that. So
Yeah.
I think, it's really important for people to know and understand that this isn't about like changing what you believe or like bringing on new beliefs or anything. It's about changing your perspective.
Hmm.
And when you do that, then you can kind of get the emotion out of the way so that you can
Hmm.
actually show up as the most true and authentic version of yourself. So you're not clouded by
Hmm.
that. Would you agree?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I think one thing that I learned was just like to not take other people's behavior personally, because it's almost always, well, it is about them,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not about you. How people respond to you is based on their own programming. It's based on how they were raised, on like the millions of thoughts that they've ever believed. And yeah, like it's not up to us to take responsibility for how other people behave. And so if you can realize that the only responsibility that you need to take is, what's on you and not what's from other people, I just think it can be very freeing. And I think you also are able to teach other people around you too, like in your new behavior, how you're not going to allow their behavior to affect you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think it has a positive effect on other people around you as well, because they're like, oh, well, that's a new response from Kim. She's not usually like that. Like, she usually says yes to everything. Why is she saying no to me now? Like, what is going on? So I think that it's also really helped me. Like, I had a tendency to people please, like really badly before. And I dug into that. And sometimes that comes down to like feeling worthy or not good enough or whatever, trying to prove yourself or prove your love. And so that's been a really big area that I've focused on too, because I feel like that can spill into so many other areas and benefit your life if you do focus on that, like
Yeah,
your own worthiness, and not, again, allowing other people to determine like that you're worthy or what your value is.
exactly. What do you feel like was I mean, that sounds like that was a pretty big moment for you, but what do you feel like was maybe the biggest aha moment for you and during our time together?
That's a good question. I don't know if there was only one. Um, oh geez. Um, Honestly, I
I
can't
know
think
one
of
I
an
can think
answer.
of right now that's
Do
kind
you? Okay.
of a funny
Okay.
one, was
Is
about
it?
the cleaning.
Oh, yes. Well, even when you were
Organized.
talking about the exercising a while ago,
Yeah.
I thought it's like the cleaning. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
So yeah, so I joined these it's really funny. So backstory, or a little info about me, like I'm ADHD and I'm not a very clean, like I'm clean, but I'm not a super tidy person. Like often you'll find messes around me. They somehow follow me. But anyways, I got to a point where I was like, can I use this on like developing better habits like around the house? And you were like, yeah, absolutely. You can use this on everything. So I started to join these clutterbug groups and like organize your home and all of this stuff. And I felt so out of place being there. But anyways, I posted a couple photos of like the disaster my house was in. And I got so much sympathy or sympathy, empathy, whatever, from people in this group. And I gave them a little bit of like backstory of what I had been through in the last year. And I just felt so much like grace from these people and compassion and empathy. And it was so powerful to me. Like I was just like, wow, like these people really get it. They've been here before. Like maybe I'm being too hard on myself. And then instead of me just continuing to think, oh, I'm so bad at cleaning, like I'm just always messy, I started challenging those thoughts and I started rewriting new beliefs. And I started thinking of times when I haven't been messy, or when there are times like such as when someone says they're going to come over tomorrow, where I'll just clean my house like for 2 or 3 hours and get it clean. And so it's not a matter of me not being good at cleaning. It's a matter of me not always prioritizing it because it's not a huge interest to me, right? It's not something I'm passionate about. I mean, I don't know who's passionate about cleaning their house. There are some people, I'm sure. But so it was a huge aha moment, just showing myself what I am capable of. And to not tell myself, oh, you're horrible at cleaning, or because that is just not going to get you motivated to want to clean. And so yeah, you're right. That was a total aha moment for me. Like it seems so small, but it really has like encouraged me through the months to, whatever I kind of focus on, I can achieve. It's not a matter of me not being able to do it. It's a matter of me like, just prioritizing it or whether or not I want to. Right. And kind of also focusing on the end goal and the outcome of like, okay, well, I do really like having a clean house. Right.
Yeah. Was some of the stuff like I'm horrible at cleaning, and like, were some of those stories,
Yeah.
was that from somewhere else? Like, did you figure out where that was coming from?
Yeah, I'm sure like thoughts like that can come from like, growing up and maybe never having a tidy room, or, maybe your parents tell you like clean up your room's always such a mess. And, of course you can continue to believe that even from thoughts you were told when you were 7 years old, right? Or one thing I can think of is when I was in elementary school, it was junior high. I had a math teacher tell me I wasn't good at math. Like straight out, like you're not very good at math. And so I have always kind of had that belief, but you can release it, like, and you can challenge it, and you can prove to yourself otherwise, right? It's
No,
just a
we get to
matter of
believe what we want to believe. Like we get to choose.
absolutely.
Like we don't have
Yes.
to believe that. I used to have the same one, and a lot of that came
Yeah.
from my ex and saying that I
Hmm.
didn't have the capability to
Yeah.
understand these complexities, and I
Yeah.
wasn't math. And I was like, hold on, like
Yeah.
I challenged those things, and now I'm like, I'm not saying I'm like a superstar at math, but I'm not bad at math. Like that was the thing that needed to shift for me, like this belief that somehow I was inherently bad at it. So
Right.
I'm so glad you shared that, because it also shows too that this stuff works for pretty much anything. You needed a little nudge, you got that nudge in that Facebook group, and then you were like, hang on, like what are all these beliefs that are like
Hmm.
actually keeping me feeling this way? I mean, there can be guilt about it, like I should be doing this, or I should, like we just want to get that stuff out of the way, and it can work for anything. So one thing I would love to know about you is, What are you doing in your life right now that is different from what you did before you started the program? How does your life look different? Meaning, in a positive way, how has your life changed?
Well, I am currently enrolled in a certification program to learn this methodology even further on a deeper level so that I can actually teach it to clients and students myself, so that's a change that I've made. And that simply comes from, I guess, just like the passion and the interest that I've found in this type of work. Um, and if it weren't for my own transformation and being so impressed by the results, I don't think I would necessarily do that. So that's how much I believe in this rapid reprogramming. Um, so my life is different now. I don't know. I think I feel a lot more positive, like my outlook on my future and where I'm going. Like I have a lot more hope for that. Um, I have a lot of confidence in the direction that I'm going, and yeah, I'm super excited. I'm just really excited about the work that I'm going to be doing with people and being able to help people. Like, I think I've always had a passion to help people, but to be able to kind of pair this along with other things that I do to, provide services and, um, I guess like motivation and inspiration for people to like change their lives positively. Like, I think yeah, they pair well together. And so
Well,
I don't
that's
know. I feel, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it's really exciting that you're doing that. I'm
Yeah,
like so
yeah.
excited for you because
Thank you.
that was similar to my experience because once I started doing rapid reprogramming for myself, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like there's
Yeah.
something to this. I've got to teach people how to
Yeah.
do this because
Right.
it, it,
Exactly.
it is so helpful to get into your
Well,
own.
and honestly, like I have had like a couple handfuls of friends already like reach out to me for help, or like, hey, like I know you've like kind of gone through something similar to what I'm facing now. Like, what did you do, or what did you find helpful? And so even being able to help friends that are in my life and seeing positive, like them have, even though I haven't worked with them, like they're not clients of mine, but even the influence that I've like begun to develop, it's been really encouraging that I've been able to help. So I have like no doubt that I'm just gonna really be just continue to be excited about this work. And I just feel like it gives me a lot of purpose.
Yeah. It sounds like there's a lot of positive things, right? When you came to me, I remember there was a lot of not so positive things going on. And
Totally.
you have changed so much. I'm so proud of you. And,
Thank you.
like, yes, this work is amazing and it works, but it only works if you do it, right? Like
Totally.
you showed up, you committed, and you were like,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
done. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, and you're just like at it. So
Yeah.
that has to be called out, that it's not just like you're going to come to me and get this
Hmm.
magic release. Like, no,
Yeah.
you have to put in the work, just like going to
Hmm.
the gym, just like going to physical therapy, just like anything that you want to get better at, so
Totally.
you got to get the credit for that. And a lot of my clients do the exact same thing. The more work they're putting in, the greater results they're getting out of it. So
Hmm.
what would you say is something that you could either advice or word of wisdom to people who might be struggling with this, like what you said, like feeling stuck or ruminating? Like what would you say?
Well, I would say I've totally been there, and it's kind of a really crappy place to be. And some advice I would say is like the sooner that and the more that you focus on your recovery journey, the sooner you're going to get results. And like you just mentioned, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. So this like I would be serious about your recovery journey. Like, if you really want to change, like, you have to be committed to it. And I think you should just make it like, well, in my case, I made it like my priority over the last probably 12 months. I've just really been focused on my recovery journey, and I have zero regrets. I feel like it has really put me in such a good position to move forward in life. And like nobody likes feeling stuck. And so I would just say that like you are worth the investment. I would encourage you, because I think there's a lot of women or people that, especially if they struggle with like spending money on themselves or investing, like um I don't I don't think that like I think what you get out of it is far worth more than like what you put into it, honestly. Like but I know that like even a financial investment can be a total roadblock for people, because they're like, oh well, I just don't spend that much money on myself or whatever. But I just think that if you really want the results you're looking for, like there are ways to make it happen. And I can just vouch from my own personal experience that it was like 1,000% worth it for me. And I don't think there's anything more important than investing in yourself, in your own like self-improvement and personal development, because it just, everything in your life is going to be affected by it and impacted, like your job and your friendships and your, all the relationships in your life, your family. So, and I guess I also was just like, okay, well, coming from an unhealthy relationship, like I want to, my focus should be on getting me healthy so that I'm never in a position to ever even consider something like that again, And so yeah, I didn't focus on working. I focused on like myself and my heart and like and my mind, and I have zero regrets about it. I think it was the best thing I could ever do for myself.
Do you, I love that. I mean, that is the epitome of self-love, the epitome of self-worth, taking action in that way. And I love that. Do you find, just out of curiosity, because I don't know if I've ever asked you this, um, do you find that when you were doing it with me, doing the releases and, on paper, and because I tell everybody, you got to put it on paper, you got to put it on paper. Do you find
Hmm.
now that you're
Hmm.
automatically doing it in your brain?
I find that I'm always doing it, probably more times than I realize, and like daily, on a daily basis. But in the beginning, I would say for the first like at least 3 months, maybe I was having to put it pen to paper, because until you get really good at recognizing your thoughts and beliefs, like, and they're like, and just I guess the education that I've gotten in the certification program so far, like actually when you write, like when you put pen to paper, it accesses your subconscious brain. That's how you access your subconscious brain. And so until you have some training in subconscious like work, you're not going to know how to do it just in your brain. So it's very, very important. And it's almost like you shouldn't be doing it until you know how to do it, and you learn how to do it by doing it on pen and paper. And I'll tell you that there are still things that come up in my life where I feel stuck, or I don't like the way I'm feeling, and I'll probably just automatically try running it through my brain. But if I'm ruminating, or if I'm thinking about it, if it's becoming a focus to me, then I absolutely will take out my journal and I'll write it down and I'll write it out. And I will tell you that you will get like your release will be 5 times better if you write it down than if you're just doing it in your mind. But I mean, if you're driving the car, you should be doing it in your mind and not like on your pen and paper.
Yeah.
So I would say I do both,
Yeah.
because I see value in both, but doing it just in your mind is only kind of a temporary fix. If you want like true release and true healing, you need to write it down.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
eventually, like, it becomes your new automatic, right? Because you've trained your brain
Right.
so much that, like what you
Right.
said, I do it so much, I don't even really realize how much I'm doing it in my brain,
Right.
because
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
becoming that automatic habit for you, where
Yeah.
it's not something you really even have to think about anymore, which is great because that's the new automatic. I don't want to be
Mhm.
feeling this, I want to be feeling that. I don't want to be feeling angry, I want to be feeling at peace or whatever. And so then you're able
Mhm.
to just make that the new autopilot. And I had a
Right.
client tell me the other day that she was in the shower and she was thinking of her beliefs. And like you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about driving, and you're thinking
Mm-hmm.
that's because your brain goes on autopilot in those
Mm-hmm.
states, right? You have more access to your subconscious when you're writing,
Mm-hmm.
like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and when you get into this like different brainwave state where you don't have to like think. So like when you're driving, unless you're going somewhere that you've never been before, if you're just driving
Yeah.
down a road that you always drive down, you may not
Yeah.
even realize how you got from point A to point B because
No.
you're autopilot, but your brain
Right.
could be thinking of all kinds of things and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
conjuring up ideas or thinking of the past or the future or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing when you're showering, if you're on a walk, different times like that, your brain gets into that kind of subconscious state. So I'm glad you brought
Mm-hmm.
that up because that's a really good way for people to start paying attention to their thoughts is
Mm-hmm.
when you're in those kinds of brainwave states, or like if you're consciously trying to do it, like by journaling or writing it out. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. So I'm super excited and congratulations on your new business venture.
Thank you.
One thing, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about before I ask you my really fun question that I want to ask you?
I think, and I don't know how I want to answer that fun one yet. What did I else I want to? Oh, one thing I never talked about it yet, but one of the things I really loved about you, Allison, as a coach was just how willing you were to just be there. Like, I almost felt like you were there too much for me. Like, sometime, not too much. That's not a thing, but you know what I mean? Like, I think you give like immense value for your programs. And so I don't think people realize how invested you are as a coach. And I think that's something really important. Well, that's just something really unique about you is like you really care about the outcome of people and you meet them where they're at. And I just think also that like you're very gracious with how you talk. Like you can give like tough love, but like in such a sweet way.
I try.
Like you
Yeah.
can challenge people, but like it sounds nicer than we would do to ourselves. And so you really keep it real and you're good about seeing things from a different way. And so yeah, I just really like applaud you on that and thank you for being that way as a coach and a friend. I love that about
Yeah,
you.
I appreciate that so much because it is part of my main driver is to be that support because I know what that's like not to have like
Hmm.
somebody right there, to help you. And I'll just tell you, I have a lot of clients who never message me in between and they have unlimited support to me. Like I have
Wow.
some that don't ever. And that's fine. They may want to that's their program. They want to do it on their own. They want to see if they can figure it out by themselves. Maybe they
Hmm.
think that they're bothering me. I don't know. But I offer it to everyone. And I am
Hmm.
like, some people are like, they probably think, I don't know what they think, but some of my clients who message me probably think, is she ever not on her phone? I respond
She's
so
she
quickly.
sleeps 4 hours a night, actually. Just
But I
joking.
don't. That's the weird thing. It's like,
Yeah,
I have a lot of other things going on in my life. I do a lot of stuff, but like when my clients need me, I
yeah,
am there to support them because I don't want you to have to wait a week
yeah.
just to get
Hmm.
a shift or just to feel differently because
Right,
your success is my success, right? I've done my job.
right.
It's sort of like if you're teaching um a kid to, I don't know, ride a bike. Like you
Hmm.
gotta be there the whole time that they're learning.
Hmm.
You can't run,
Hmm.
you can't let go. Like you you
Hmm.
gotta run with them down the
Yeah,
driveway, right? Because if
yeah,
they fall, they're gonna fall. Right. So that's
yeah,
what I want to do is be there with
yeah,
them. And then at the end, I can let them go and they know how to ride the
yeah,
bike themselves. Like that's my
yeah.
goal. I don't want
Well,
anybody to be
and
with me
that
forever.
And the sooner you ask for help, if you're struggling with something, the sooner you're able to start doing it on your own. So there's no shame in like
No.
reaching out, asking for help. Or like I know when I was first doing the love process and releasing beliefs, I was having a hard time like wording the beliefs. Like they would come out and they'd be a little weird. And then you would help me kind of like reframe how they sounded or whatever, just so that yeah, you could work
Yeah.
the methodology better. And I just found that really helpful too. And I just found you were always approachable. Like you're like, never hesitate to ask me, even if you want me to recognize what your beliefs are for you, because some people, like, that's really hard actually in the beginning when you don't have any practice with it, right? Even just
100%.
recognizing what your beliefs are. But it's a lot easier for someone else in talking to you to be like, oh, like, me,
Yeah.
perhaps this is a belief. This is a
Yeah.
belief. Like, you would always get like 13 when you were talking to me, and I would get like 2. So I'm like, oh my goodness. She
Yeah,
sniffs
because
out
you're
the belief
right.
for a while.
People don't always realize what their beliefs are, right? And beliefs show up in
Right.
disguise too, like questions. Like you would say
Mm-hmm.
things like questions like, why are they acting like this? Or like, what's the reason for that? Like, and these are beliefs in disguise that most people don't even know. And some people, I have a client who speaks in I feel statements a lot. She'll say, I feel like that this could have gone so much better, right? Well, the belief is this could have gone so much better, right? Not I feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? But a lot of times when you ask people how they feel and their emotions,
Mm-hmm.
they use the I feel statement. So they think that's their emotions, but it's not, it's really their belief. So there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
like nuanced little things I'm sure you're learning too, as you're
Mm-hmm.
becoming a coach as well. There's a lot of very
Mm-hmm.
nuanced things that it's part of the training. And that's why I am so involved in the beginning, because I don't want you to feel confused. I don't want you to feel like you
Mm-hmm.
can't figure out what's going on in your own head. And so that's a big piece of it. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so now
Mm-hmm.
it's my favorite question. Anybody who's listened to my podcast knows that when I have a guest on, I ask this question. And I want to know if you could tell us something that not a lot of people know about Kim.
Okay, so I didn't know how to answer this,
Okay.
but I'm gonna say probably that I love to sing. Like, I really love music, and it's something that I kind of always have, but it's interesting how when you do go through like a healing journey, how you can discover like what what things you're interested in and how they can really open up. And well, I think it's also like an identity thing too, when you don't know who you are, like when you've been in like a not so healthy relationship, or when someone's always telling you who you are, right? It's hard to know who you are. So yeah, I sing, and I'm in a band, and I really like music, and it's just something like I'm becoming more and more passionate about. And I also find it's like super like therapeutic for me, and like it helps me regulate emotions, and so yeah, that's what I thought of.
Love that. I love that. So are you going to sing for us now? I'm just kidding.
No. I don't know that I'm a good singer, but I'm a singer.
You're funny. I'm sure you're an amazing singer. Actually, I've heard you
Yeah.
sing before on your
Oh
on
gosh.
one of your socials. I've heard you sing. Beautiful.
It's
You know,
embarrassing.
I like to sing too. Um, and I haven't sang. Is it sang? I haven't sang. I
Yeah.
haven't sang in a while. But I will tell you a really funny story. I got pulled
Okay.
over by a police officer with my kids in the
Oh
car
no.
because I was speeding, but I was speeding because I was singing. So like
Oh my
I was
goodness.
driving so fast. I was probably going like 20 over, like no joke. But I didn't even realize it because I was just like I had the radio up and I was just like
Just jamming.
blasting it. And he comes, he pulls me over. My kids are like, "Mom, you got pulled over." I'm like, "Oh,"
Oh
I was like, "Everybody,
no.
be quiet. Everybody, don't say anything." So he comes to the window, tap, tap, tap. I roll the window down.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hi." He's like, "Do you know why I pulled you over, ma'am?" I'm like, "Yes, because I was speeding." And he
Oh,
goes,
you should have said it because I was singing
"Oh,
too
I
loud.
did. I did." He goes, "And why were you speeding?" And I said, "Because I was jamming out in my car with my kids and I was singing and I wasn't paying attention."
Aw, did you get off on it? I
I
hope
did.
so.
He let me know.
Oh, that's
It was
amazing.
the truth. Like it was totally the truth. Like I wasn't lying. I was just like, it was just, I was in the moment and I was just singing and having a blast. And I just wasn't paying attention to my speed. Lesson learned. I'll just use cruise control next time. I feel like jumping out of my car to keep my speed at the proper speed so that I don't get pulled over or
That's awesome.
not just get pulled over, but it's not safe. So but yeah,
Yeah.
so I have that in common with you. I love singing as well. So
Nice.
maybe we'll duet one day or something.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'm just
We'll
kidding.
do a TikTok
I'll
or
never,
something.
I'll never. Okay, then you could just like hide my
Not in either of our careers.
All right. Well, thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. If you want people to connect with you on your socials, let us know where they can find you.
Okay, so my Instagram is Kim dot Keneqa, Keneqa. That is my Instagram handle, or you can find me on Facebook, same name.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And I'll link those in the show notes for anybody who wants to connect with Kim. Kim is an amazing human being. She is so motivated and driven, and she's got a lot of great things on the horizon for her in her life. And I can't wait to see what's next. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I just wanted to remind you all that on January 24th, 25th, and 28th, I am doing another round of Shift Happens. And I'd love for you to join and come to this 3-day event where we're going to learn all about the subconscious mind. We're going to have some fun. We have some activities planned. And I just really want this time to be about you learning and being able to get some clarity, some shifts, and to help you stop ruminating and feel more joy in your life. So if this is something that you're interested in, don't forget to register. You can get the link in the bottom of the show notes here. And if you already came to the last session, that's fine. You can still show up to this one too, or as many as that you can make. And there will always be replays available after we are finished with each session. So mark your calendars for January 24th, which is a Wednesday, the 25th, which is a Thursday, and the 28th, which is a Sunday. So I really am looking forward to this. They're a lot of fun, and it's totally free. No charge. Just come, show up, have a little fun, learn something new, and I'll see you there. Thank you for being here with me today in the Emotional Abuse Recovery Podcast. I hope you found value here with me. If this podcast episode was helpful to you, I'd love for you to hit subscribe and leave me a review. My goal is to help you go from feeling stuck to set free. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and you can check out whentearsleavescars.com for more resources and information to help you with your own emotional abuse recovery. Until next time, here's to believing in